The next option we have it render. What do you want to render? So by default it's set to everything, and you can render just select objects, whatever is selected, only active layers, it's currently select layers, only visible layers, and everything that's default. We have additional checkbox below that we can specify if we want to render any additional information. Some of these options is not available if you do external or render network. The other ones will only available if you do internal network. So let's go ahead, we'll select to the super settings, and you notice right here ultra, because we disable some optimization, other things, some options is not available, but for the purpose of look on them, so I'm going to select render, super render, okay, and we'll just go select this way. Okay, as well as some post-production like relighting or other need to be enabled for you if you render to the screen. So I'm going to set superior internal render to screen just for the, so we can look on all these properties that are available for us. So always render to light. We'll use it all light in your scene. Even if they're in layers, this shouldn't be renders. So think about this, it's that if you have a layer, you're hiding and you select only active layers or only visible layers, but you have lights in another one, they will always render lights will override and they will render just the lights from those ones. So just kind of let know about this checkbox. Use it automatic scenes hierarchy. If this option is selected, the view will optimize your scenery so it can render faster. So it's kind of will be grouped some object together. However, if in view 5 or earlier, you probably want to prepare and check this so it's work a bit faster, but it depends. The most new version of the view, it's work very well, the automatic optimization, so it will group them for the render and it actually work nice. Hide infinity planes from alpha, for example ground or water or other infinity will be removed from alpha plane. So when we render, you'll see this infinity plane will be in an alpha mask. So if you need removed, you want to check this option to kind of hide from our alpha mask. Okay, next we have enable G buffer and enable multipass. So let's go edit on them and look a little bit closer. We also look a little bit closer on them when we look on a render and look on some of those layers. So you notice right here, let's look on multipass first. And this has allowed us to save all additional information. If we want to work or export this application in, for example, After Effects or Photoshop and utilize some installations. Again, when we look on the pre-render already image, we're also again going over them. But right here you have options what you want to include information, where you have post-processing, atmosphere gain, all this additional shadows, ambient light, backgrounds. Shadows by default is enabled. That's right here. However, we don't have it in direct light and other ones. Also, we have all additional extra components, as well as layer mask for each layers. Object mask, material mask. We have a very granular control over what you want to render. This is work very well if you decide after going in Photoshop and a process, it's help you to mask and isolate it and provide all additional information. However, beware that a limitation of 99 layers if you're going with the Photoshop. So when you save this as a multi-layer image in PSD, you have some limitation on how many layers can save in a specific format. So just be sure you don't select too many of those. Okay, then also you can enable save to the disk of the render specific multipass, where you can specify name and location for your file. The G buffer will save information render as RLA or RFA format, and it's provide additional information that may have a velocity or some other, for your animations, subpixel mask or weight that you may import, and other applications like Adobe After Effects or Premiere can use it when I start working. Also, it is provide information to connect to the Nuke or other compositing applications that can work together. So right here overall we have it generate G buffer. We can forset options, we forset occlusion objects if any of the enable, generate all anti-aliasing layers. We also have it separate layers, Z depth, material, layers ID, normals, render. All of this by default is enabled. You don't necessarily need all of them. You can unselect them or select all of them. It's up to what you're using, and as well you can specify where do you want to save and what file type, RFP or RLA type of the format you want to save. Again, this is from all G buffer. We will use it if you're using mostly for animations or other things, and you probably will use it some of the multipass if you're using post compositing with Photoshop or other still animation still type processing applications. So let's go ahead. I'll just exit from this. We also have it diagnostic buffer, and we'll look in a second how this buffer is helpful to us to analyze where's the more problem on the render, where we take most time for your render or other effect. And also we have it enable relighting. This enable relighting, same as the post non-realistic post render kind of effect. It will be done in post effect, and we'll look on those relighting and NPR a little bit later in our tutorials, but right here you can enable that as well, relighting. Okay, so right here we'll look on some G buffer and multipass and diagnosis tools. So let's go next tutorials, look closer. What does the information provide us when we render that?